Live from the chicken wing capital of the world, Buffalo, New York. You're listening to the Childcare Bridge Podcast, your source for the best tips, tools, and tactics on how to market and grow your childcare center, ensuring total domination. Total domination. This is the Childcare Bridge, and this is your host, Michael Tasner.
Hey there, and welcome to this week's episode of the Childcare Bridge. Today's topic is going to be the first in a series of videos where I talk through the trends, the tools, the tactics, the big changes that I am seeing in the childcare industry in 2025. And what I wanted to do was focus on the areas that I talk about in this framework that we've coined called MASS. So M-A-S-T-S. So if this is your first episode, the short version of MAST is it stands for marketing, accounting, systems, team/talent, and sales. These are the fundamental areas that you need to make sure are firing on all cylinders if you want to have a childcare business that actually stands the test of time. Not a childcare business that crashes and burns, not a childcare business that you run for 30 years and decide to close the doors because you didn't build something that could be sold outside of the real estate, but a childcare business that thrives, a childcare business that makes a ridiculous impact. Financial impact to you and your family, an amazing impact to all the kids, the families, the community, your staff. Like, this is what it's all about. It's all about making that impact, but not just in one of those ways. Far too often, childcare center owners, they put themselves at the bottom of the pack. Well, I'll take a salary if I can this year. That's not how this game works. The king and queens eat first. So today I'm going to talk about the first letter, which is M. And what you're going to very quickly realize is that every single thing that I talk about starts with marketing. Every single problem that you have can be solved via marketing. In simplicity, if you think about it, most, if not all, the problems you have are cash-related problems. I don't think my staff is good enough. I have high attrition with my staff. I don't love the equipment that we have. The curriculum isn't amazing. We need cameras here. I'm working too much. All these different things can be solved by more money. More money can continue to bring better talent. It can help you to hire experts to fix things, consultants to fix things, to buy whatever you need. But without the enrollments that are then driving that cash to you, you're sunk. And the enrollments cannot simply be coming from word of mouth, regardless of how long you've been in the community. It doesn't matter if you're a staple in the community. Now, we prefer, and I prefer to work with center owners that want to get to 8 figures. Step 1 is to get you to 7 figures, and then we want to go to 8. And the way that we do that is by focusing on marketing, accounting, systems, team, sales. But we start with marketing. We make sure that the demand is coming in and day out. We make sure that even when we're full, even when we have a wait list, we keep on going. We build a wait list literally around the block. Why would you want to do that? Why would you keep putting money in marketing to grow your wait list? Well, then that's going to allow me to either open up another location that's very close, expand the current location that I have, and I literally already have a set of people that are raising their hand. Now, am I going to get everyone from the wait list? No. The math that I historically have seen over the last 15 years in this industry and hundreds, if not thousands of centers is typically about 18 to 20%. So 1 in 5 from your wait list should end up enrolling. Now, that differs if you're talking infants, because those slots obviously are usually a lot harder to come by. But if you might say, oh, Michael, I've got a wait list of 150 people, and I've tested this. Great, so let's see how many of those we can get to enroll tomorrow. So we do a text message campaign, an email campaign, and we start to hear crickets. Well, we find out that these people have been on a wait list for 4 years. You've got to continue marketing. So today I want to talk about a few of the biggest marketing trends that you cannot ignore in 2025. You simply cannot say, no, I'm just not feeling it. Now I'm going to give you them in order, but the asterisk and the caveat to this is that if you don't have your foundational stuff in place, it really doesn't make a ton of sense for you to really start deploying some of these newer things. Now, none of this stuff is going to be overly new, but they're things that are accelerating at a rapid pace. So I can't tell you to go all in on content marketing when you say, well, Michael, we don't even have a website, or we have a website that we built on Wix that we update once every 6 months. You've got to have the foundational items. That means having a really great website that is flawless on mobile. Flawless on mobile. Everything is mobile first. Don't look at the website on a 30-inch monitor. Look at your website on your mobile device, your iPad, and make sure that your website is flawless on that particular device. Make sure that you're posting on Facebook on a daily basis. Make sure that you're communicating with your audience, that you're tracking where your leads are coming from. So kind of the foundational things that you need to have in place. And once your foundational things are in place, then and only then should you start to deploy some of the things I'm going to talk about today. So the first one that I'm going to talk about is organic social media content. So organic social media content is very, very simple. It is content that you can post on Facebook, Instagram, X, Snapchat, TikTok, Pinterest, completely free of charge. There's absolutely no cost. So I always get pushback with childcare owners, regardless of how large they are. They always push back on investing in marketing. It takes sometimes, I have centers that it's taken me years to finally convince them to spend money. And that probably, by that time, it probably cost them $5 or $10 million in missed enrollments. But organic social media content is all about you posting many times a day across all these different platforms, fun, helpful, engaging content. So if you say, well, Michael, I'm not even posting once a day on Facebook, again, foundational stuff first. But what I'm continuing to see growing at a more and more rapid pace is that they're still searching and they're leveraging Google. That's not necessarily going away anytime soon. But people are going on Instagram as one of the top search areas, and they're looking at your pictures. They're typing in daycare near me. They're typing in daycare, childcare, Montessori. And they're finding and they're going down different rabbit holes. Same thing is happening and occurring with all the other social media accounts. A lot of centers like to strike up relationships with businesses that are in their areas and try and have kind of strategic programs and say, hey, we want to offer your team a discount if you make us your preferred local provider of childcare, like we're right around the corner. And they tell me it's impossible to get these people. Easiest way to get these people is organic social content on LinkedIn. Posting on a regular basis. And again, by regular, we're talking minimum once a day on all these different platforms. But the beautiful thing is you have a center, you have curriculum. Why couldn't you do, or your team do, a little daily video for 60 seconds about what the kids are learning today? Why couldn't you do a quick video about what the kids are eating today? Why couldn't you do a tour once a week of one of your classrooms or one of your areas within your center or centers? Why couldn't you feature a certain family? You have the ability to have some of the most engaging content because people love anything that has to do with kids. Organic social media content is, again, completely free of charge. And so, well, Michael, if I post on TikTok and I get all these other people from other countries looking, okay, it didn't cost you anything. The algorithm will start to show it to the people that want to see it. So when people in your local area start clicking, TikTok, for example, knows, and they're going to start to show your content to more people that are likely to engage with it. It's all about you just being consistent in posting content that's engaging. It doesn't have to be anything that's over the top from a production standpoint, but it has to be consistent. Consistency with this organic social content is absolutely key. The next one is AI. And when I'm saying AI, because it's overused, like it's literally talked about all day, every day to the point of nauseam. Like I'm sick of hearing about it. But what I want you to look at from a marketing standpoint, so if you're putting some video content up or you're doing some pictures, how can you leverage AI to help accelerate that a little bit? Now, this is making the assumption that you are aiming to try and do some of your marketing in-house. There are very, very few centers that we have ever seen that can successfully do this, but I want to at least tell you some of these trends so that you can aim to try them out yourself, or at the very least, you can hold your marketing agency accountable to be leveraging some of these tools and technology. So what you want to be doing is, as you're doing certain content, you can leverage different AI tools, and maybe you want to leverage a tool like HeyGen that takes your video and translate it into a different language. What if you largely are bilingual at your center and you're speaking Spanish all day, every day, or French or Japanese? Like, there's obviously a lot of different languages that you can have this translate to a couple of different languages and say, if your son or daughter is fluent in X language, we're going to teach them Japanese. Literally leveraging AI to help accelerate. AI will get to a place very quickly where it can replace a lot of roles. But from a marketing standpoint, you want to be leveraging it to help accelerate. If you have some content you're posting on Facebook, take the content from the last month, load it into something like a ChatGPT, and have it give you 100 more social media posts that you can get out there into the universe. Load in what you've been doing so that it starts to learn more about you and your centers, so that it just gets more and more intelligent and it can better help you. So AI is not going away. That trend is going to continue to skyrocket. When we talk about some of the other areas by way of accounting and operations, I'm going to talk through how you can also leverage AI, but from a marketing standpoint, content, imagery is just growing at a pace unlike anything that I've ever seen before. Like, it's so exciting and also a little bit scary at the exact same time. The third one is brand. So, Michael, how is that a trend? So the beautiful thing with the role that I sit in is that I'm able to see data. And I'm able to access data on a daily basis. I mean, sometimes every hour I'm looking at it. And I can see all the different things across hundreds and hundreds of centers. And then also cast a wider net that I don't have access to all the data, but I can still see a lot of data. And what I'm noticing is the rate of franchises that are popping up is growing at a rapid pace. The rate of private equity coming into this business and buying up local centers and then rebranding them into their big conglomerates is growing at a rapid pace. So if you don't want to join one of those clubs, I'm not saying you don't, but if you don't want to go down that path and you want to build your own brand, your own thing, the brand value of your center needs to be grown. You can't have a name that's like 10,000 other centers in the US. You can't call yourself ABC Academy and expect that everyone is going to know your name when there's literally, if I were to Google and check right now, probably at minimum another 100 ABC Academies, probably even 1,000. So the element of brand, and it's not just the signage, it's the core values, it's the colors that you have, it's the type of people that you have at your centers, it's how you portray yourself, how people talk about you when you're not around. People are not wanting to do business with anyone that they don't necessarily know, like, or trust. So you want to build it to where your brand is a brand that people know about, and that's a trustworthy brand. That's a trustworthy, because I've heard about it. I've seen it all over the place. So I encourage you to spend some time this year looking at your brand, making sure that it's a unique brand, something that you can also trademark and protect. And I did a whole episode on trademark and asset protection, and that's just heavily ignored in this space because you're not building anything that's overly proprietary or unique. But your curriculum, like all that stuff, I want it to be proprietary to you so that families start to know, like, and trust your brand so that you can open another location and not have to try and sell yourself because your brand will start to help sell it for you. I cannot stress this brand aspect enough. The next trend that I need you to think about is this concept of being omnipresent. So omnipresence, without making this into a big kind of... So the next trend is all about this concept of being omnipresent. Now, omnipresent is simply you showing up everywhere. So think about all the different places that parents are going to research your centers and learn about your business. They're going to Facebook, they're going to Facebook groups, they're driving around. Maybe they're going to be at the grocery stores, they're going to come into your location. You want to have it to a place where they can not only recognize your brand like we talked about, but then they see you everywhere. And that means that you're going to need to invest in all different forms of digital as well as offline marketing, especially as you're growing more and more locations. Now, the brand aspect goes hand in hand. As you continue to build that brand, you leverage your ability to be omnipresent so that people are seeing the brand, they're seeing it. They get to a place where you're literally just everywhere and they just cannot ignore you. They just cannot ignore you. So that means, again, you need to be investing in all the different forms of paid media if you want to make sure that you are being spotted everywhere so that you can be that fast growing center. The last marketing trend that I'm going to talk about today is one that a handful of centers are utilizing, but it is one that I am seeing the requests for this more than I have in the last 10 years combined, and that is the ability for people to tour your center virtually. And you've got a few different options to make this happen. Option one, and it's not my preferred option, is that you literally have them call you on Zoom or even FaceTime, for example, and you walk them through your center. The downside of that is, unless your Wi-Fi is very good, it is less than ideal. Your camera can be shaky. I've been on a lot of these virtual tours and they're not great. The second option is that you can have video of your center kind of posted and they can kind of watch these videos and get a grasp. My favorite option, and the one that I only see at maybe 1 out of every 50 centers, probably even less, is something like a Matterport. So having that 3D rendering so that they can actually walk into your center, click a few different buttons, and literally move around, look at everything in the classroom. Now, to take that to the next level is that you layer on videos so that when someone is in a particular classroom, they can see everything, but then they can also click on a little video and have maybe one of the teachers say, "Hey, this is Michael. Welcome to our infant classroom. So I know you've had a chance to look around. Let me tell you about some of the things that make us unique." You take that to the next level. Now, why would people want to do a virtual tour? It's very, very simple. People's jobs are changing on a more frequent basis. They're moving on a much more frequent basis and with a lot less notice. Like you might have to move in 30 days, for example. You're not going to have time to go and visit and tour a whole bunch of childcare centers. You want to try and see what information you can find out online. And the more that you have, the better. So similarly to investing in growing your brand, investing in being more omnipresent, investing time and money and resources in getting more content, you need to invest in having this really kick-butt virtual tour that could even potentially rival an in-person tour. Stay tuned to next week's episode. We're going to continue giving you all the latest and greatest trends so that you can stay ahead of the curve and become that 8-figure center. Michael Tazzer signing off. Good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I'll see you next week.